This is Sergio from Cage Side Press. I am joined by UFC light heavyweight Modestas Bukauskas. How you doing, man?
Yeah, doing really well, thank you. How you doing?
Not too bad. So I have to ask because I mean, there's so many fighters in the UFC now. Joanna is a great example. How many times have people butchered your name?
Do you know what? It's been a couple of times. I've had Bukauskas and all sorts. I mean, to be honest, I had it probably more earlier on in my career. I think as things get a bit more serious and more important, they try their hardest to get my name right. But yeah, obviously along the whole journey, it's not exactly the easiest to pronounce, especially for English speaking places.
Yeah. Are you like Joanna Janjacek? She added champion as her last name, so people referred to her as that. Have you thought of doing something like that?
Listen, when the time comes, when the time is right, when I got that UFC light heavyweight belt, then who knows? Listen, sky's the limit. You know what I mean? But I'd have to think of something else that's more, I don't know, original to myself. So I'll think of something. I'll think of something.
So how have you been throughout the pandemic? The last time we spoke was actually right at the beginning. Things were just starting to come into lockdown. So how have you been on a more personal note, not necessarily professionally?
Well, obviously, there's not as many things to do. I mean, as a fighter, especially when you're dieting and you got the grinding of training, you like to sort of occupy yourself and do different things. And like when you're on the weekend and maybe you have a bit more free time or a bit more rest time, you'd like to sort of do more things and stuff like that, or maybe go. But now, like, literally, we're just limited to, oh, great, do you want to go for a walk in the park? All right, great. There's really nothing else. You can't even go to a coffee shop with your friend or anything like that. Like, sometimes I'll do that in between. Like, literally, it's just kept. You're not even really allowed to go to people's houses either. Like, literally, you just have to go and meet outdoors. And obviously, it's been pretty chilly weather here in England. So yeah, I mean, it's been warming up a little bit as of late. But yeah, I mean, aside from, I think the pandemic sort of makes it a bit more focused for someone like me with my career and everything. I know it's obviously difficult for a lot of people in terms of their jobs, but a lot of people are now able to do their jobs from home. So I think in a way the pandemic has sort of helped, to make people sort of appreciate the things that they get to do, and also it helps people to adapt and overcome. I mean, look, now that you have so many jobs which have altered themselves to be able to work at home now, whereas you didn't really have that option beforehand. It was all very office based, so it gives that other option. So I think it's had both good and bad points, but obviously, as everyone, I would like everything to go back to normal. I want there to be no more cases. People dying and stuff like that is obviously a horrendous thing, and you want things to be good. You want good vibes. You want positivity. You want but it looks like everything's going in the right direction. The cases have dropped, the deaths have dropped. So hopefully, together, the world will be able to overcome this.
2020 for a lot of people was awful. For you, it was, you kind of have mixed results. You had some positivity with the UFC signing. You had your debut, also had that loss. I want to start talking about the debut because that was the last time we spoke, and you were scheduled to fight Vinicius Moreira. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that last name right, and you got the opponent switch. Obviously, being a debut, I'm sure you would have liked things to be, perfect. Proper preparation for that, right? For that same guy. Was there any hesitation on, accepting that opponent change? Obviously, it's a UFC. You don't want to lose a debut. A lot of risk going into it. Was there any hesitation?
There was none at all. I mean, any name that they're going to throw at me, I was gonna go and fight them. I wanted to go and fight. I was so well prepared. I mean, you could possibly argue that I could have maybe taken a bit more time, because actually at the time that they changed the opponent is when I got really bad bursitis in my knee, which is why you saw in the fight my knee looked like a freaking balloon animal. So, it was but I was never gonna, this is my debut. I've been waiting for it for so long. This is my chance to go out there and go out and perform and go out and do Fight Island and everything. I wasn't gonna pass it up. Doesn't matter who it was. And when the opponent actually came through, it actually excited me because, I mean, no disrespect to Vinicius, but he had quite a couple of knockout losses, and a win over him, yeah, it would have looked good, obviously, UFC debut, but it didn't carry as much weight as winning over Michailidis, who's a very high level guy. I mean, both of them are high level guys, don't get me wrong, but Michailidis, it seemed like there was a lot more backing behind him. And funny enough, there was I can't remember if it was for the scrap or I think there was like nominees for who the fighter of the year or the next 5 top prospects or something like that. And I remember I think I was number 1 or 2, and Michailidis was number 5. So that was very interesting for me. Someone that has been put on the list of the top prospects to go to the UFC or any of the big promotions. That was being mentioned. Now I'm scheduled to fight this guy, and so it was good because I love it. I love challenges and stuff like that. So for me, it just brought more excitement. And the thing is, I knew that I had the skill set and the way that I was training, it would have worked for any opponent really. So, but obviously things just slightly changed to the fact that we had a better striker on our hands, someone that wasn't going to try and take us down. Really, and funny enough, he tried to in the fight. So, yeah, I was just really excited. For me and the whole team, it just brought excitement. The adjustments that had to be made weren't very vast, so we were going to take a fight no matter what.
Yeah, and it was a incredible performance. I mean, he fell through the cage door afterwards, which was made it even more remarkable. How did it feel to get a finish in your UFC debut?
Yeah, it was, mate, indescribable. I mean, you want to make a good impression. You want to go out there finally on the world stage. You've been fighting on cage where you've been grinding, grafting, trying to get to the top. And your first fight is a big fight to sort of get your foot in the door, and to actually be able to do that for real. And sort of get my name out there and let people know about who I am, and sort of solidify myself a bit more in the division to let people know was absolutely amazing. It was a great opponent. It was a great fight, and yeah, obviously I was very happy. So, but at that point, I was just thinking, okay, now we just got to sort of think how we're going to climb the ladder, because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to win the UFC belt. So you just go in day by day. You enjoy the victory, you enjoy the feelings and everything that goes with it. But at the same time, it's like, okay, now we've got more work to do. So yeah.
So that I kind of want to ask this question too, because it was a monumental debut. You broke a record. You'd done something that no one else could say they did. You were the first Lithuanian to ever get a win inside the UFC, and that still stands as of right now. So how special does that feel?
Yeah, I carry a lot of pride in my home country. The place that I was born. I say this all the time. It's like my little catchphrase, if you will. But born in Lithuania and bred in Britain. At the end of the day, I moved to London when I was 3 years old. So my parents they just wanted me to do really well in school, and so they didn't really. I mean, they spoke Lithuanian, so I can understand it like pretty well. But in terms of speaking it, I'm not so great. So, but in terms of like me as representing my country and representing the flag as well in the UFC was a huge thing, and especially like you said, because no one else had ever done it before. So for me to be the first Lithuanian male athlete, to be signed by the UFC and then to get a win in the UFC was a huge thing. Like I felt very patriotic, and I felt like I'm representing my home country, which is a very small country in comparison to all these other people. And they're thinking, oh, they're really good in basketball, but what else have they got about them? And now we're going to show that we've got good fighters out there as well. So yeah, it was an absolutely amazing moment. And it just gave me even more encouragement and motivation to go and represent them even more.
Speaking of basketball, that was something that you wanted to pursue a lot when you were younger. Do you still play basketball, or other than recreationally?
Yeah, I just play recreate. I remember when we went to Fight Island. They had a basketball court set up there. It brought a sort of bit of nostalgia, from playing in high school back in the day. In Louisiana, and it was just nice to actually just pick up a basketball and start dribbling again and start shooting, and then you realize you haven't really lost that much. And even I think I posted it up on my Instagram. Even just dunking the ball was something that, like, I hadn't done in ages, and like it was even in my sliders. Obviously, my physio was going mad at me for dunking the ball in my sliders. But still, like, it just showed that you don't lose these things. I've competed at a high level in high school and stuff like that, and it was very nice just to be able to do that again. Yeah.
One of the people you met on your when you came to the United States is Jon Jones. Can't go without asking, because he's the center of the headlines for the right reasons this time, and that is he's moving up in weight, and he's likely next to fight for the heavyweight belt. What was your thoughts when he made that decision to move up?
Well, I mean, he's dominated the light heavyweight division for, I mean, I don't even know how long. I mean, it must be more than like best part of 10 years. Obviously, he's had his setbacks sort of outside the cage. But, if you look at the amount of defenses that he's had, I think he's still probably in the UFC like history had some of the most, the most title defenses. He's literally, all he's known is fighting in title fights. So, obviously there's guys coming up in the light heavyweight division, and stuff like that. So obviously there is more fresh talent and, more challenges to be presented. So I think if the right challenge come along, he might go back down to light heavyweight. But at the same time, I think the move to heavyweight is right. Listen, you wanna fulfill your legacy. You want to finish on a high note, and at the end of the day, as you get older, obviously it's going to be a bit harder to lose weight. It might be easier to put on weight and maybe pack on muscle and stuff like that. So obviously, why not go into that division and show that you have what it takes to beat bigger men and stuff like that. So obviously, it's just Jon Jones wanting to challenge himself, and I think that's extremely healthy and good. And like you said, he's looking for new challenges. He wants different things to do and maybe different ways of training or whatever. And it's always amazing to see that. And I think I've definitely taken a bit of a page out of his books in terms of wanting to take challenges and do new things and put myself under pressure and stuff like that. So I think it's amazing. And obviously, getting a title shot straight away, I mean, you could argue there's guys who obviously, more deserving of that, having been in the heavyweight division for years. But at the same time, he's a champion. So, they've had it before where they've had other champions skip up the division and challenge for the belt, which, again, it would cement more in his legacy, being a champ as well. So, I think it's a very smart move. And, something where in his career, you could see it's the right move. Yeah.
I'd like to bring it back to you. I mean, you've got your fight coming up on March 27th. What's your thoughts on the matchup?
I really like this matchup. He's a very tough opponent, tough competitor, very heavy hitter. It's not been seen too much about his grappling or his wrestling. I have seen him go for takedowns and stuff. Like, listen, we're in the UFC at the end of the day. You've got to be well versed in every area. I mean, you're going to have your strong suits, but he's a very forward pressure type fighter. But I think I'll match up really well with him. I think I'll have a few tricks up my sleeve that he wouldn't have seen before, especially from these other light heavyweights that he's fought. And I'm going to surprise a lot of people with the things I'm going to bring into the cage the next time round. Like I say, I've not yet shown my full capabilities in there, and I definitely feel that this time will be the time that I'm finally able to do it and really put on a show. And like I say, yes, it's the right opponent. I've got a longer reach. From what it seems like, I definitely think I've got more athleticism. And I think I've got more of an overall skill set. I've been working so damn hard on everything, and my mind's 100% right. I just know I'm going to go in there and put on a dominant performance. This is the type of fight where you have to go in there and really show yourself and prove yourself. And I'm ready and happy to take on that challenge.
I want to ask something, and it's kind of like a flashback as well. Last time you suffered your first loss, when you went to rebound, it was unsuccessful, and you suffered back-to-back losses. How have you grown since then for this fight? Because obviously you're in the same position here. You're coming off a loss, and what does your mentality going into this fight? Is it any different than if you were coming off a win?
I've still got a strong mentality. I think what I've got to realize, and what I think other, like all fighters in general, like every fighter's journey is different. Jon Jones can go and win every single fight, and that's his personal journey. Like, Jan Blachowicz can go 2-4 in the UFC and then become champion. Again, that's his journey. So everyone's journey is completely different. My journey is my journey, and every fighter has their own unique stories to tell, which is why it's so interesting to obviously see the lives of fighters and see their careers unfold. Because, like you said, everyone's got their own different path, and people learn different things. So when I had those 2 losses back to back, even after the first loss, I didn't work much to correct the particulars that was really, because I thought my skill level was still quite high. So I thought, I should be able to rebound quite well. And in all fairness, I was winning that second fight and then got caught. It's just the name of the game. But got caught or whatever, 2 losses. It really showed me the areas that I needed to focus on even more so, and really like tune things up and become more focused. And by the time I would have, got around to fight again, I was even more of an animal, and I'd learned so many more things. So every loss that I've taken, I've realized that I'm actually learning a hell of a lot, and it's stuff that is much needed. I would rather have took this loss early on in my career than go on a 4-fight win streak and lose when it matters. Some guys then lose against top contenders 2-3 in a row, and at the same time, I don't want to be that guy, going against the top contenders and losing. I want to learn from my mistakes now and go out there in the future and really put on dominant performances to work my way up the ladder. And I think the adjustments that have been made from this loss that Jimmy Crute has taught me. So I've got to give him massive credit. Obviously to him, he's a great fighter, a great guy, and I learned a hell of a lot. From that fight, and those are things that I'm going to use not only in my next fight but in all my future fights. I feel like I've become a completely different person in mind, in body, in just the way that I fight, everything, the way that I train. Like, there's things that I've really thought, you know what, I need to take a step back and figure out what the hell it is I'm doing wrong, and I've added those things accordingly. So losses can sometimes be the best things that happen to you, because it will make sure that you're going to be much more prepared next. And yeah, they say that, in the past, I lost 2 in a row, but technically I didn't really make any adjustments until that second loss, like any real substantial adjustments, whereas now obviously I'm making those adjustments straight away. So yeah, I'm definitely looking to bring the best of me in the next fight.
The fight is taking place in Vegas. The home of the UFC. Your first 2 fights were on Fight Island. So, are you excited to compete in Vegas?
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I mean, every time I go to America, I don't know, there's just some sort of feeling that comes over me. I just love being in America. It's like it's almost like the center of the world. Like, so many big things have come from America. So many people have done amazing things. It's the land of opportunity, and especially being in Vegas now. I know we're going to have to be quarantined in a hotel for pretty much the duration of the stay, but at the same time, the fact that you're just in the country is just brings a good vibe. It just brings good feels. Like, every time I go to America, like even when I went to high school back then, and I'll come back and visit. Anytime I'll be in America, you just get some sort of vibe. I don't know what it is, but it just brings just so many good feels and positivity just from being in that country. And it's the fight capital of the world. You're fighting at the apex. It's like a world renowned. It's like, what more of an opportunity do you want to go and really prove yourself and show yourself out to the world? Like, let the world know who the hell you are. Really show out your skill set. Wow, people, do spectacular things. This is the time to do it. UFC 260, Las Vegas. I mean, what more of a platform do you want? Like, that is where it's going to go and happen. That is where the Baltic Gladiator 2.0 is going to do his business and show the best of him.
I want to ask one more question, and then I'll let you go. Someone who's been a part of your journey from day one is your dad, and not only as father, but also coach and mentor and role model and everything else that goes with it. How awesome is it for him to be able to say, you know what, my son is a UFC fighter, and how proud is he that you have that title?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it all the time. It's funny because he actually spends so much time dedicating himself to making me the best fighter, and you can see he's almost obsessed. Like, as much as I'm obsessed with my improvement and my career and me going to do my thing, he's equally as obsessed on the coaching aspects, thinking, okay, what can we do? He's always thinking of the things in strength and conditioning that we're doing, the things in, in the striking aspect. How can we improve here? What can we do? And then, when he comes and sees sessions, he's like, bloody hell, you've improved a lot, and stuff like that. So it's amazing. We've created a really good bond. Like, over the last couple of years, like over the course of my whole pro career, we've created a very strong, tight bond. And yeah, it's a very special thing for me, because I feel it's not only my dream being fulfilled, but it's his dream being fulfilled. And the fact that, Lithuania, and like, he's a very, a very patriotic Lithuanian as well, having pretty much lived, the majority of his life up there until obviously we moved over here. So, going in through that system and stuff like that, to know that your son is being classed as the first Lithuanian fighter in the UFC and making history. I mean, what more could a dad want? But to be honest, I think that the thing that will make him really proud is going out there and winning that belt. And not only that, but going out there and showing my true potential. I think between me and him, we know that I can do a hell of a load of things in this sport. It's just the point about actually going out there and performing the way that you can. We know how dangerous I can be. It's all just down to me. It's all how my mind is, how I'll go out there in the actual event and compete. And I can't wait to be able to do that, because every single fight I want to make myself proud, but I want to make my dad proud, because I know that my career is basically, it's not only been lifted on my shoulders, but on his shoulders too. I feel like he's living his dream through me, and I love that. Like, I love that we can live this dream together. It's something that, not many people get to do. And you see a lot of, like, father-son relationships sort of turn a bit different when it comes to coaching. But because we collaborate, and obviously he's hard on me, but at the same time we collaborate on ideas and stuff like that. And that's things that you need in a good, like, coaching relationship as well. And we know how to mix, being father and son with, the actual competitive standpoint. So, I'm very lucky to have him. I'm very lucky to have everyone in my team helping me out. I've got loads of close people that are constantly just want to see me improve and do my best. And like I said, I think that's a great formula for success. And we're definitely going to go about having a load of success, obviously, on March 27th.
So I'll end it on this. What can people expect from you on March 27th?
You can expect the Baltic Gladiator 2.0. I don't even say it enough. Like, this is going to be the side that you should have been seeing already in my last couple of fights that you have not yet seen. It's going to be devastating. It's going to be vicious, and it's going to be a side to me that people wouldn't really expect. And like I say, I can't wait to go out and show it.